What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. It's currently Saturday afternoon, about 1:15. I love filming on the weekends just because this office is empty and I feel a little bit more comfortable talking just because these walls are so freaking thin. So I tend to get a lot of my filming and editing done on the weekends, a little bit more of the laid back work now. And then during the weekdays, I like to do a little bit more of my deep work, more focused work. And it's the perfect balance because I still get to enjoy the weekends being relaxed, but I still also get a little bit of work done, which makes me feel good, obviously. Right now we have a current portfolio of 8 projects we're working on. Today's video is actually going to be talking about my Airbnb because you guys seem to enjoy the videos about my Airbnb. And as you guys can tell from the title, it's 5 things I wish I knew before I started my short-term rental or Airbnb. So I'm going to make this a fairly quick video, at least I hope so. I'm going to blast through the 5 things right here, and then I also have a little bit of some side notes right here that I want to talk about as well. Obviously, I have my Airbnb in Arizona, so some of these things may be different depending on the state that your Airbnb is at. But for me, it is in the state of Arizona, Chandler, Arizona specifically. So here we go. First one, if it has even a slight chance of getting broken or getting destroyed, it will be. I've ran into this a few times, just smaller, minor stuff, but I started to realize that people obviously do not care about this house nearly as much as you do. And if you can dumb down certain things as much as possible and make things as simple as possible, it most likely is better. For my example is I bought a very fancy trash can right away, battery powered, fully electric, sensor and everything like that. Within the first month, it got broken. I don't know how. But if I were to just buy a manual trash can at the very beginning of it for a little bit cheaper, it still would have done the exact purpose that it was meant to do. I probably wouldn't have had to replace that. So I learned to dumb things down as much as possible. So I just bought a manual trash can. I most likely, unless someone literally physically punches it or kicks that trash can and dents it, I'll have it for quite a while. I've had my remote control for my fans broken as well, and the actual, I don't know, it goes into your wall and it's like kind of like the holder for that fan. All those are completely broken. I don't know how. People just are really rough with your things. I've had my umbrellas ripped apart. One of them was actually destroyed from the weather. The other one I think was a guest or maybe a kid. I've had my pool noodles destroyed. All small stuff like that. Like those pool noodles are like $1 each. But someone had their dog over and completely ripped them up. I didn't notice until a couple stays after that. I've had a pool chair also get dented up and the leg was all dented in. So there's small stuff like that. It does add up. But if you can get sturdier stuff at the very beginning, if you can dumb things down as much as possible, it'll alleviate some of that. Second thing, you have to be near your phone at all times, ready to respond instantly to guests. I would say about 50% of my guests will have a simple question at least some point during their stay. There's been very few times where I've never communicated with a guest at all. There's been a few guests where I literally just send them the check-in instructions and I never hear from them again. Most of those are just like the one-night stays where they don't actually utilize everything. Because I have people asking me how to turn on certain lights, which I have a manual at the very beginning, but sometimes people will still ask the questions just because it's easier for them to get a response from you rather than try to read through everything. Some guests will ask how to turn on the fireplace, even though I explain it in there. Some guests will ask how to turn on the pool light or if it has a pool light. A lot of guests will ask me if the pool is heated or if it's currently heated, which it obviously states in my booking that it is a heated pool and it's on at all times. Airbnb does a really good job at notifying you as well. They have their specific ringtone or notification tone as well. So when I'm at dinner and I don't really want to look at my phone, if I hear that, I will immediately respond to it. Oftentimes it's very simple questions that don't require a lot of your focus, so it's completely fine. Have systems in place for replenishing amenities. I'm still learning this. There's some things where I have automatic subscriptions, like for my coffee subscription, my wine subscription. I have those coming in on a regular basis where I kind of have those figured out. But like for soap, for hygiene products, conditioner, paper towels, propane, stuff like that, there's not really a specific timeline on when those run out. So it's very important to have good communication with your cleaning lady because she will most likely be the one that tells you, hey, you're running low on this or you're running low on that. Propane, I have a fireplace and I have a barbecue that both require propane, so that's a little bit harder to figure out. I finally bought these gauges where it tells me how much is left. That's helped me a ton. And then I also have a spare propane tank in the garage whenever my guests guests, whenever it runs out during an actual stay, they have the opportunity or they have a chance to actually just replace it themselves without having to miss out on a cooked dinner on the barbecue or whatnot. But it's also very important. Every couple of weeks, I go over there and check the levels on all 3 of those tanks as well and replenish when needed. Fourth thing, this is very, very important. Price high and then adjust accordingly. When you're first booking, you obviously have no set in stone price point that you're going to list your properties at. So I suggest pricing them high and adjust accordingly if you're not getting booked out. For my example, I priced because I wanted to just get bookings right away. I had no idea. I priced lower than what I should have, and I pretty much got 75% occupancy the first week of my bookings, all the way for like 4 or 5 months out. And my average daily rate could have most definitely been $50 higher, and I still probably would have had the same amount of occupancy and just a higher gross income for every single month. There's some third-party pricing apps which I still would cross-reference. I wouldn't rely fully on these apps because I've actually, the one that I use called Beyond Pricing actually priced me a little bit lower than what I wanted anyways. You can look at local bookings in your area, but like I said, every single house, every single booking, every single amenity is different. So you don't want to directly compare your booking to someone else's because you may have a nicer pool, you may have slightly nicer location. For my example, I have a beautiful backyard that's backed to a park. I haven't seen any Airbnbs having the accessibility that I have to a park literally connected to my backyard. So I can't compare that to someone else that doesn't have a very nice green belt directly into their backyard. So for that reason, I'm going to price mine a little bit higher. And there's small things like that I would take into consideration because it's a lot easier to lower your rates to get last minute bookings as opposed to canceling. Airbnb has a very strict policy on hosts canceling on their guests. Fifth thing, build out a reliable and trustworthy and affordable team just in case you have issues that go wrong throughout the stays. Because if they have to go and meet your guests in person, their attitude, their demeanor, how they interact with the guests is going to directly reflect basically yourself and your review on that property. Now, it's not often where they're going to actually have to communicate with the guests, but for my example, I actually had my pool heater was not working one day. The guests didn't know how to use it. I didn't know how to fully use it. I was out of town as well, so I sent my pool guy over. They absolutely loved him. He's a great guy, so it was awesome that I have people like that are good at communicating, and they also understand that this is an Airbnb for you and it's not just some random property, your rental property, or it's not a vacant property where they can just go in and out whenever. They understand that you have to be reliable and you have to be good with interacting with guests if they need to. A couple side notes here now that those are out of the way. One night stays. A lot of hosts are controversial on this. A lot of hosts will not do one night stays. They'll just do their minimum stays the 2 days because it alleviates a lot of people that just want your house to party at. Start to learn why people book your place. This is very, very important, and you can adapt to that, and you can increase your bookings even more. Some things that I've noticed on my reviews is people love my backyard. I've gotten a couple reviews saying it's a desert oasis. I've had a ton of people, much more than what I ever would have thought, commenting about how nice it is to have access to the big public park in my backyard. So obviously, maybe moving forward, I'm going to change my title around a little bit to pinpoint or to focus on that. I'm going to take some more pictures of the backyard, of the park maybe, emphasize how easy it is to assess that backyard. Have systems in place if you make a mistake. My specific example is I had a vacancy one night. And the next day, the guests actually wanted to check in early, like 11 a.m. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I actually have no one staying the night before, so we don't have to clean it or anything like that. It's already ready for you to go. And then literally like 8 p.m. that night, I had someone book that night, and I unfortunately had to go back to the lady that was going to check in at 11 a.m. and be like, sorry, I had someone book a last minute stay. Unfortunately, I have to check in at a normal time. So I ended up giving her like a $50 credit to take her family to breakfast because I felt really bad that I allowed her to basically check in early and then had to change that on her. Wasn't a huge deal to me. She left me an awesome review. She was really happy with it. And then you can obviously, if something happens, if something's broken or missing in your house, you can send them a little care package. Crumble cookies, for example, they have like little 6 customizable cookies that you can have hand delivered to their house. Last thing, reviews are very, very important. It will most likely be a decision maker for a lot of guests that are on the edge about booking your place or not. So not only reviews, but just your overall guest experience is probably the most important thing as a host. So make sure you really understand that your guests are number one priority. They're spending a lot of money to stay at your place, so try to give them the best possible experience in a sense, and a lot of times they will recommend your place to people or they will book you again in the future. I've had a lot of people say next time I'm in Arizona I'm going to book your place, which is a good feeling. So that's it, guys. This video is much more consolidated and concise than the last time I filmed this, and I'm happy with this take. So I'm going to go home, edit it, get this ready for, maybe I'm posting it tomorrow actually. So I think I'm posting this one tomorrow. I hope you guys had a tremendous, exciting, relaxing weekend. Have a productive week ahead. I'll see you guys soon. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Everything you guys need to know is in the description down below. I am a licensed real estate agent. You guys can message me or email me as well. Any questions, comments, suggestions, comment down below. Perfect time. My camera died.